Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the very first podcast of Tatami Talk. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. My name is Juan Rodriguez, and my partner right here, my uchikomi next to me is
Anthony Lau.
We're two members here at Hollywood Judo Dojo, and we're just going to talk about judo. So, the first thing we're going to talk about right now is probably the coronavirus.
It's kind of hard to avoid the topic. We were kind of thinking about talking about it before everything got shut down, right?
Yeah.
We're going to say how to clean the dojo and train around it, but now we're just here at a dojo.
We're actually here at an empty dojo at Hollywood Judo Dojo. Our dojo had to close down for 2 weeks at first, but now since we live in Los Angeles, we don't have to be shut down till the 19th, is it? Mandatory?
I think that's the minimum. I think it's going to be longer than that, honestly. So.
There might not be no judo here at Hollywood until May, which for most of us really, really sucks.
Well, luckily I have a garage, and I've been training with my girlfriend in the garage, so...
Yeah, at least you
have someone to teach her how to fall first. So.
Yeah, it's good to teach her how to fall first. You don't throw her across the room and she breaks her neck.
She was afraid to throw me. I told her, I was like, you can throw me, I know how to fall. And I think one of her friends told her that, it's going to hurt a lot if you have mats on top of a concrete floor. And she was like, I heard it's going to hurt, so I'm not going to throw you that hard. And yeah, so it was more dangerous, I think, when you're hesitating and throwing. So.
Yeah. So the thing right now with the coronavirus is that most of us can't train at all. So most of us are doing things at home to train. Myself, I've been doing about a 2-mile run out my house. Since the air here in LA isn't the best, I usually run at night. So you might see me looking like a homeless guy running in my sweatsuits and plastics just to get a good sweat on. And then I'm just doing rubber bands and lifting weights at home.
I've been using resistance bands. I got gifted some pretty nice resistance bands when I first hurt my knee from my friend. Also, I bought some of the TheraBands that we were going to test out. So I've been using those to do uchikomi. I would run, but with my knee, I can't really run right now.
With your knee, you would pop out of place and be hobbling home.
Yeah, I think I told you, I was taking a bath the other day, and then while getting out of the bathtub, it popped out of the socket again. So I had to kick it back in place.
So for some of you that don't know, Anthony about a year ago hurt his knee at the San Jose State tournament in the Bay Area. He somehow popped his, your PCL?
I ruptured my PCL.
He ruptured his PCL. One of the hardest things to break into the knee. He somehow did it. So his knee will sometimes pop out backwards, and he has to push it back out to walk.
Yeah, it just doesn't really hurt that much, I guess, but it feels really weird. And I mean, I was supposed to get the surgery to fix it, but I think all the surgeries are canceled.
Oh God!
So I'm gonna have to.
Well, you are not a central knee problem to get fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And also, there's a higher rate of you getting infected if you go to the hospital right now. So
yeah. So that's what we're doing right now with our free time because of the coronavirus here in Los Angeles. But with corona affecting everybody, the big thing for most of us is that it's affecting the Olympics. So this morning I read that the IOC was going to postpone the Olympics, not cancel, but postpone to possibly next year. This morning I read that Australia...
Canada was the first one, right?
Oh, yeah, Canada. Canada was the first one. Then it was Australia, I think it was Australia. Brazil and a certain other country said that they couldn't get their people together to train in time to go. So the IOC decided that, let's just postpone it till next year. So I'm glad Japan's still going to get the Olympics and we're still going to get judo in Japan. That's going to be really cool. But a lot of people are going to have to, tone down their training or change their training to peak next year instead of peaking this summer.
They're also going to have to do the qualifiers before that. So it's going to get pushed back another few months.
What do you mean my points don't count? My points don't count to next year now?
I was wondering if Teddy Raniere has enough points since he didn't medal at the Paris Grand Slam.
Well, Teddy Raniere did finally suffer his first loss, and as most of you guys, if you guys follow judo and keep up with it, you guys didn't see him fight after that. So it looked like he bowed out. I didn't hear why he bowed out or what happened, but...
You think he retired? Is that what you mean by bowed out?
No, I mean that he left the tournament. He didn't leave because of injury or disqualification.
No, he lost in the third round.
Was it the third round he lost?
Yeah.
In? Oh, okay. All right. No, he still could have gone to bronze, couldn't he?
Maybe it was second round. He got eliminated pretty early.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you don't train. Not train, but don't compete. You
I
just
think he's
can't
just
wrestle your
old.
model. No, he's not that
He's
old
just old. He's for his size is pretty old.
for his size.
Yeah.
Hope he hears this, comes after you. But like I was saying, yeah, the coronavirus has changed things up for everybody. All the tournaments have been canceled. All our local tournaments got canceled actually 2 weeks ago. We were supposed to have tournaments here.
Yeah, we're supposed to take the kids there, right?
Yeah, we're supposed to have some kids go to a local tournament. That got canceled. All the international tournaments got canceled. So no one's training or getting anything done right now for the most part. If you're lucky, you may have to go meet bands yourself or some weights or someone at home you can train with, but it's tough right now.
You're gonna do those videos for people at our dojo to.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about doing some videos for some how to train by yourself during this pandemic, this pandemic we're having right now of the coronavirus.
One thing I want to say, it's really weird because today there's no traffic,
Yeah.
right? And it only took me 25 minutes to drive
Yeah.
here. It was the longest. It felt like the longest drive ever.
Seriously?
Because okay, I live really far. I live usually half an hour away, but with the LA traffic and rush hour, in order to make the class in time, it usually takes me an hour and a half
Yeah.
to get here. But when I know I'm coming here to do judo, it doesn't feel that long. Because I'm always like running in my head, like, and while I'm driving, I'm like thinking, what am I going to do today? What am I going to work on? What am I going to teach the kids today?
Yeah.
So the drive doesn't feel that long, but today, even though the drive was like 25 minutes, it felt like a long ass drive. Because I know there's no judo at the end of it. So
it's funny because I drove actually out to where you live twice this week now, and I swear it was the shortest times I've ever gotten out there in my life. And it's usually going out there isn't that bad. It's usually coming back to LA.
yeah, that's usually.
And
But
the worst part,
you went with your wife, right?
Yeah.
So you can take the HOV lane.
I ain't paying for that shit. I'm a cheap Mexican. So coming back from Torrance and shit, going Torrance, Gardena, out there that direction. When you're coming back on the 110, and you got the 110 from the 101, for some reason it is always a log jam there. Like there'd be no traffic, but as soon as you get to that on ramp to get onto the 101, there is always traffic. And yesterday was the first time there was like no traffic for
I know.
me. It was so easy to get on there.
I haven't driven out into the valley yet. I wonder if it's bad or not. I was thinking of taking a drive up to the Angel Crest or whatever, like up north.
I don't know. They closed all the city parks because people were going out there.
Yeah, but that's not. I just want to drive. Like, there's
drive
no
it.
traffic. I like driving.
All right. Yeah, with your car, you can do it.
Yeah,
Just don't get
please,
a ticket.
I'm just reading about how all these people are going to Malibu and stuff because I was thinking of driving up there, not to go to the beach, which is what most people were doing over the weekend. I'm glad I didn't go because there was a lot of traffic there, so it would have ruined it for me. Plus, people are going to beaches, which is why they ruined it for everyone, and now they're closing down all the parks and stuff.
The beach looked like a normal summer day this weekend. They saw some news reports of it and looked normal. Didn't look like there was a pandemic happening. But during this time, hopefully we give you guys something to listen to, something to think about, and just a little bit of entertainment. So
yeah, we've been meaning to do this podcast for a while. It's just just stuff happens. Tournaments, New Year's, Christmas.
Laziness,
yeah,
time. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that every white belt asks me when they first come to judo, and since I'm one of the assistant instructors here at Hollywood Judo, they ask me, what do I need to do to get a black belt? Or how do I get a black belt? Or how long does it take to get a black belt? And usually when people ask me that, I tell them the average length for a black belt is between 5 to 8 years if you're dedicated. Some people take longer, some people take less, some people take way longer. It all depends on how dedicated you are to getting your black belt and what you're willing to do to get it. Now, if you want to be a person that just practices judo part-time, come and train, do uchigomis, come and practice and do randori, you can get your black belt sooner or later, but it's going to be a lot later. But if you're one of these people who want to come, train hard, go to tournaments, compete, win trophies, or win medals, you're most likely to get your black belt faster. So, what do you think about that, Anthony?
Well, you know how I kind of feel like when we know in like Japan and Korea, it just only takes like a year to get a black belt. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Shodan means beginner rank in Japanese.
Yeah.
So, I think we need. I've told you this before, but I think we need to like change the system here and stop glorifying the black belt
No.
and
We can't be giving out
belt
black belts
chasers.
like candy at Halloween, okay? We can't be
Well,
doing
we have
that.
to change the culture here, is what I'm saying. Which we can't. Obviously, at a local dojo level, if you do that, then it'll make you look bad because it looks like you're like you said, handing out
Yeah,
black belts like Halloween. But it has to come from.
you don't want to become a McDojo. All
It
right?
has to come from the top level, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I get
The
what
change
you're
has to come from
saying,
the top level.
but there's a certain level that you should be at to get a black belt. And the thing is, like, one thing I was taught, what I was told to me when I was training when I was a citrus color, that's what I call under ranks, is that when you get a black belt, you have to earn that black belt because you have to defend that black belt. When you're a judo black belt, you're gonna get challenged from other grappling styles. You're gonna get challenged by Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You're gonna get challenged by a sambo guy or a wrestler or just a catch wrestler or other open grappling style. And if you say, "Well, I'm a black belt," and then they beat you up and they destroy you,
Well, that's what Don ranks are for.
Don ranks are for. Most people don't understand
Yeah.
Don ranks.
Well,
Most
that's
people
their
just
problem.
think black belt is black belt. Black is black.
Then you shouldn't call a shodan then if it's not a beginner rank.
Yeah. Well, I'm showing my Don rank right now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's kind of a hard system to change, but I kind of don't like the belt chasing thing. I think I've told you that I don't really care for about getting a black belt.
Yeah, I know you don't. That's why you're one of the you're gonna be one of these 10-year brown belts.
Yeah, when I went to Japan,
sandbagging on purpose.
there's obviously the hierarchy and the sensei and then the senior students and all that kind of stuff, but people were always like not afraid to correct each other. Well, within the hierarchy, within the rules, correct each other, give advice and stuff. But when I went to other dojos here, as a brown belt, people would give me advice, but then I would notice some other visiting black belts were making the same mistakes, and nobody would correct them because they saw the black belt and they're like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to correct him because he's a black belt."
Well, the thing is, like, also, if you have a black belt, you've been doing this long enough that that's your style, and like, oh, well, that probably works for him. That's his style. That works for him. But so when people ask me about like, so Sensei Juan, what do I gotta do to get a black belt? I tell them how long it's gonna take and which way is the best way. Well, which are the ways that you can go to it. Now, the way I grew up in judo, for adults, there is 3 belt ranks. There is white belt, brown belt, and black belt. And that's what everybody wants. Everyone wants a black belt. A lot of people don't think of getting a candy cane belt because not that many people are going to get it. Not a lot of people are going to get the black. They're going to get the black and white. No, a lot of people are going to get the red and white belt. So I tell people.
I don't like the red and white belt, just so you know.
You just don't like the look of it?
Yeah, I like the black better.
You like all black?
Yeah.
Jet black? Black on black?
Yeah.
Actually, black on white. So what I tell people is that, okay, we at our dojo, we have a chart up. And I tell them, if you learn those techniques on the chart and can demonstrate them, you will get that belt rank. You either do that or you just come to practice and we feel that you've learned enough, competed enough, demonstrated enough. We will also promote you that way. But that way takes longer. And people don't understand that. One thing that I do like about the USJF and USA Judo system is that once you get to brown belt, there's a list of requirements you need to do to get to your next Q ranking.
Nobody follows that though.
I did. I was very strict on it.
Yeah, but no dojos officially really follow that. Most dojos I've seen has their own syllabus.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's a syllabus there, and what annoys me with certain people or certain things when they want to get to brown belt or when they do get their brown belt, they just think about the next belt. They don't think about what they're supposed to learn. And the fastest way to actually get promoted is to go through the syllabus and go through what you're supposed to learn those techniques, to get better and to get promoted. Some people, again, they just want to practice for a while, do uchikomis, do ron during class, and then 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the line, they ask, "Hey, Sensei Juan, can I get an orange belt now? Hey, Sensei Juan, can I get a green belt?" Well, did you learn any techniques? Did you compete at all? No. Well, then why am I going to promote you then?
I find that really interesting because if you compare it to BJJ, I was actually talking with my BJJ instructor about this a few weeks ago. When you look at judo, we have the Gokyo, right?
Yeah.
Like we have a syllabus, we have everything structured. But you look at BJJ, they don't have that structure.
Yeah.
You don't. Well, I know some affiliates and clubs have a syllabus that you're supposed to follow, Also, it's probably something they can charge their affiliates for. But
Yeah.
most places it's like, okay, I feel like you're a blue belt now. I feel like you're a purple belt. You just get it. And the stripes are the time and grade.
Yeah.
But you don't see them saying, okay, for blue belt, you need to know armbar, you need to know De La Hiva, you need to know X guard. Like they don't have the syllabus like that.
Yeah, but those guys also, because they don't have a syllabus, they don't have there's no okay, with judo we have the IJF, the International Judo Federation, that everything comes down from. We have a strict federation because we are an Olympic sport. So everything is structured that way. BJJ doesn't have something like that. They have things similar to it. They have like other BJJ federations where they compete,
Hmm.
or Abu Dhabi or IBJJ or those other
Yeah.
ones, but they don't have an Olympic one. So ours, since we have just one body, we're very structured to get to that one body. If you want to be an Olympic player, then you have to do everything to get a USA Judo black belt. Once you're in the USA Judo black belt, then you can compete internationally. Then when you compete internationally, then you can start qualifying for IGF stuff. So that's why our structure, I think, is more rigid, because we have something behind us like that.
I feel like there's good pros and cons to that. Like the
Yeah.
pros is obviously anywhere you go, judo's pretty much the same. It's hard to find a McDojo in judo, right?
It's pretty hard.
It's pretty hard.
It's pretty tough.
But
the thing about judo is that the judo I learned here is the same judo I'm going to do in, well, okay. My judo black belt here in America still counts as a judo black belt in Russia, counts as a judo black belt in China, just counts as a judo black belt in France. Where if I was a BJJ guy and say I got a, let's just put out
they don't have a national structure, so it's up
Yeah.
to up
So
to
if I'm
up to
so
the
if, let's
up
say
to
someone
the
that
instructor.
a lot of our friends train at. So a lot of our friends train at Cobrinha. So say I got a black belt under Cobrinha, and then I go to a Gracie dojo. They might not recognize my black belt. I've seen MMA guys that have black belts and are good black belts in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu go train with some other person and be like, oh, well, he's a black belt under this guy, but he's actually a purple belt or a brown belt under this guy.
I think that rarely happens. I've heard of that happen, and it rarely happens. But I get your point, because that doesn't happen in judo. They don't say, well, you're not a black belt here, put on a white belt. Like we don't even make Japanese people come here with their shodans put on a white belt.
Yeah, they do. I mean, no, we don't do that. I'm saying, no, we don't do that. But the only time I could say I've seen that happen where I've seen poor black belts is if you join, since we're here in Los Angeles, we're near Koreatown. So because we're one of the few dojos near Koreatown, we used to get a lot of Korean members who would come here when they first come to America. So we would get guys that did their military service. And in Korea, when you do your military service, you're either most likely going to get a black belt in Taekwondo or a black belt in Judo. So we would sometimes get guys that got a black belt in Judo during the Korean military. And I'm not saying all of them are bad, but I'm saying some aren't ready for it and some don't deserve it. They would come here and then they couldn't handle our workouts.
I just think the standard for shodan is different there than here is. Again, what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're going to wear that black belt and defend it, you should be able to defend it. That's the thing.
There's no defending. They're a beginner. They're shodan. That's a beginner rank.
They're a beginner.
It
to
just
us
means
in America, toss them in the sharks.
It just means I can throw them and they're not going to like post their arm out, likely.
Oh my god.
So versus you throw a yellow belt or a white belt, you know how hard you can throw them, right? So going back to the color belt system, I mean, we've witnessed some people when you have awarded them a new belt color, and it's like overnight they just get really improved a lot.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing also, where people need a driving force to what they want to get to. So if someone's a yellow belt, or let's go higher. So say someone's a green belt, and you say, okay, well, they've been here. It's been 9 months since their last belt rank. They've been improving. They come, they do randori, they do extra randori on the weekends. So you want to know, I'm going to give them a blue belt. And you give them a blue belt, and suddenly feel like, oh, I'm going to hit that next level. They feel like they powered up. So I used to see that a lot with brown belts, because, again, when I grew up doing it, or when I first started doing it, it was white to brown. So I'd see that a lot when you're a white belt for almost 2 years, a year and a half to 2.5 years, you're a white belt. And then someone gets their brown belt, it's like, oh man, I'm a brown belt now. So they level up to that division. I get that, I see that happen. But to me, it's just, I don't know. I don't.
I think that fosters a behavior which is why a lot of people quit judo once they get black belt, because they feel like they reached the goal and that was it.
I can see it with younger people because also besides being a judo player, I'm also a karate guy, and I see that a lot of times with youth when they do karate is that when they get their black belt, they think they're done, and you see kids fall out. You see people fall out.
Yeah, I think in Japan, since you're already giving them a black belt and everyone else is a black belt, just different dan ranks, they don't have the belt chasing mentality. So the ones that do judo is because they enjoy it, not because they want to get to the next belt rank or get a black belt.
Yeah, but I think everyone's goal should be to get a black belt. And when you're and it goes for in America and in other countries too, because there are a lot of foreign international players come to our dojo, is that when you get your black belt, it's an accomplishment. It shows that I've worked so hard that I've gotten this belt
that
rank,
definitely.
that I am a real judo player. I'm a real judo guy. Other than, I've been doing judo for 6 months or a year, whatever, and here's a belt rank. So that's my thing. I really feel that you have to earn a black belt.
I also don't think you can pick and choose the systems since, like, people, you were saying how, like, we should only have, like, white, brown, black, basically, right?
Yeah.
But countries that do that, the Shodan doesn't take that long to get. That's why they don't have the color belt ranks in between.
You have to earn it. You have to
so you're dragging out the Shodan, and then you're adding color belts in between. You want to get rid of color belts in between. So
to me, it's like being a white belt for 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3 at the most. I don't think it's that bad personally, but that's me. That's my personal opinion.
Well, that's why judo's declining in popularity too.
Popularity in America or in the world?
In the world, I think overall the numbers are dropping, even in Japan.
But the whole thing about
all the dojos are
the
closing.
White belt, brown belt, black belt thing. That's a big Japanese thing. Every other country gives adults colors.
Because if you add color belts in between a 1 year to 2 year thing, then you're gonna get a new belt every like 2 to 3 months, basically.
I hate that. I hate giving out belts.
That's why they wouldn't do that.
I don't like that at all.
So I think you gotta pick one. You gotta either have the standardized color belt rank, and then black belt's kind of a mastery rank, or you just have white, brown, black, and then reduce the time it takes to get a Shodan.
Well, in America, we have colored belts. We have citrus colors here in America. Whether you're USJF, USJA, or USA Judo, they all have colored belt ranks.
It needs to be more standardized, like BJJ, though.
With no international federation, no one watching them.
Well, I'm talking about at least in America, since every dojo has different color belt ranks and they do them differently. So I mean, when I go to BJJ place, I'm like, okay, a blue belt's roughly around this level.
You're always gonna get dojos that do their own thing. Are gonna want to do their own thing. You're always gonna get that. There's not gonna be, even with how standardized we are in judo, you're not gonna get the same. What?
I obviously it's not gonna be the same, but at least the gap is smaller, right? How do you feel about recreational players? How they should be promoted, or whether they should be rewarded at all?
I think they should be promoted and should be rewarded, but they have to understand that you're not going to get a black belt in 5 years. You're not going to get a black belt maybe within 8 years.
Because most dojos don't have fundamental classes or beginners classes, or like more like relaxed classes, right?
It's what I like to call back to basic classes.
Yeah, so most dojos don't have that. So when you say they don't put as much in, it might be because the regular classes are too intense or just a little too intimidating to them.
No, I don't mean like they're not putting the class is too intense. I mean they're not coming to class as regularly. So if someone comes to class once a week for an entire year, is that the same as
that's obviously
3 times
a given.
A week, every day for an entire year.
And that makes sense.
If you listen to what when I critique somebody, I tell them, don't do this technique. You're gonna break your arm that way. Don't do it like this. You're gonna extend your elbow too much. Yeah, we had a girl break her arm. Yeah. No, she dislocated her arm.
It wasn't broken. It was just dislocated.
Just dislocated.
Okay. She's taking her break falls more seriously now. Did you see?
Well, yeah. When someone breaks their arm, they kind of take stuff a little bit more seriously.
Well, no, like I was working the basics with her, and then I was showing how you can do some crazy break falls like confidently, and she got super interested, and she's like, I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's good. Yeah, but it's just what you get these promotions. You get people asking their first day, how do I get a black belt? How long did it take a black to get a black belt. And you've got to be honest with people. When you join judo, and I give them the timelines, and I can see in their eyes who's going to stay and who's going to go. You hope a lot of people stay.
You thought Matthew was going to go. I knew he was going to stay.
I totally thought one of our members was going to have a hard time. But you want to know what got him to train harder and become better? Going to competition. He went to his first competition.
You think it was that? I thought he was.
Yes.
He said I was helpful.
No, I think it was going to competition. No,
I'm trying to credit myself.
You're trying to credit yourself
Yeah.
here. Trying to make yourself. Is that he went to a real competition, saw how it felt to fight somebody for real, not practice, not class randori, not even hard, because we do hard Saturday randori.
Wait, this doesn't. He said he was going to quit at the end of the month originally, but that he competed after the end of the month, so it was something else that made him want to stay.
Yeah, maybe it was he saw how beautiful I was and decided to stay.
We'll have to ask him again and clarify.
Yeah, maybe. But when I saw Matt, when he got better, when he started to take judo really seriously after competition, and he felt what real competition felt like, how it was to really fight someone on the mat, not for practice, not for fun, not someone you fully trust because you know them. This is like a total stranger, and you're on the mat, and this is not life and death, but this is pretty close to it when you're on the mat out there sometimes. And that intensity drove him to become a better player. And since then, he's fought harder. He hasn't competed since then, which I want him to, but he's been practicing hard, doing better in class, taking things more seriously.
I don't think you can really blame people for that since the way they run tournaments is not very adult friendly here.
Yeah, that's another podcast for another day. How tournaments are run for local events.
I thought we're not going to talk about stuff that's going to get us sued.
No, this isn't talking about us getting us sued. I'm telling you, I've been at local events everywhere. I mean, local Northern California, local Nevada, local Southern California, local Central Coast. But it's but to get back to what it gets to being a black belt, what I like about the situation with the USJF, USJA, USA Judo is that there's a list of what you need to do. And when I get people that get to their brown belts, and I know that they haven't done any of the requirements from their third cue to second cue to first cue, and they're asking me, Sensei Juan, what am I getting my black belt? What can I do to get my black belt? Well, have you even gotten your third cue yet? Have you even registered as a third cue? No. Well, then you need to register as a third cue first. If you ever go on the USJF or USA Judo, go to belt requirements or belt ranking, and there they are there. They're a PDF that you download, and they're in there.
Let me tell you what I did when I was a white belt. I went on Google and typed in USJF yellow belt promotion guidelines.
Yeah.
It showed me a promotion guideline, which I studied for, but then I later realized that was the first result on Google, and later I realized it was totally out of date.
Yeah.
So then I studied the new version, the most up-to-date version, after it took me like 30 minutes to find the copy. They recently redid the USJF website, so it's a little better, but back then it was terrible. Only to find out my instructor uses his own syllabus. So he told me to go on Facebook and download the file off of the Facebook group. Then I found out that was out of date too. So
that's your sensei's fault. Right there.
Luckily, I was.
That's your yellow belt sensei fault.
Yeah, luckily I was so into judo at the time. I just went on YouTube and looked up all the techniques on the Gokyo, and so I know them anyway. But I knew none of the Nawasa techniques.
Well, okay. Here at Hollywood Judo, we actually have them up on the wall.
Not the Sankyu ones.
No, because Sankyu is different.
Okay.
So this is how it goes. So at Hollywood Judo, you're going to come to our dojo. On the wall, we have a board that has all the main judo techniques there. Right next to it, on our wall, is another board, or was it 1, 2, 3, 3 boards that have all the citrus colors up there. And it has what techniques you need to learn and which techniques you need to know how to do to get promoted to that belt rank. Now, it's more specific to the throws because, come on, guys, we're judo. We're more of a throwing art. We do have newaza. We have great newaza. It's very direct and to the point. That's why I love judo. But the big thing is to learn the throws. The pins, the chokes, the locks, you can learn over time. But the big thing is the throws. And I tell people, it's right there. And I've had people come ask me, "Oh, Sensei Juan, what do I gotta do to get a green belt?" And I say, "It's right there on the board. You either go on the board and learn those techniques, or you just come, practice, or compete." Most people, it's in one ear, out the other. I'll get some people that look at that board, take photos of it, and will test, but it's very rarely, very
What I
rare.
like about our dojo is we're very free when it comes to techniques that we practice. Like
Yeah.
we do kind of warm ups and then uchikomis, and then sensei usually demonstrates one technique. We work on it, then we get to work whatever we want to work on. Nobody's ever asked me about any of those techniques on the board. Nobody looks at the board and be like, "Oh, to get my green belt, I need to do Suriko Migoshi." So how?
And like I told you before, this batch of citrus colors we have are the longest colors that I've ever had to teach before, because most of the time with most of our members, once our members get to orange belt, they're competing more often, they're getting points, learning and progressing faster. These group that we have right now are the first colored belts that we've ever gone all the way to blue belt. And here at Hollywood Judo, I know it's not a regular color for adults, but we do also give out a purple belt. It's very rare that people go to that level. I know purple belt is mostly a youth color, but because of the way our sensei is, head sensei Philippe Morote, he's from Europe, and he has kind of an amalgamation of like a European style with American style. So he's trying to balance these things. So we also give out a purple belt. This is the first time we've ever gone all the way to blue belt, and we've actually discussed about giving people purple belts. But normally, when guys are at their orange belt, green belt, their next belt color is brown most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a mix of things. Like you have the people coming in that are like, "I just want to learn what's effective. I don't care what technique it is. I just want to throw people."
Yeah.
So then they don't really want to learn like ukigoshi or
Well, then those people
yeah.
aren't gonna, unless they go compete and beat everybody with
Yeah.
Ukigoshi, they're most likely not gonna
So
get
there's
a brown
that, and
belt
then
or
there's
black
people
belt.
like people who 1 week they're learning the basics, and the next week they're like, "I want to learn uchimata."
Yeah.
So
That's
that
when you get people that they get into judo, watch a lot of YouTube, and I want to try this. I want to try that. Oh, I saw this on Instagram, Sensei. Can you teach me this? Well, can you do Ippon Seoinage first? No. Then how are you going to do this throw? I tell you what you need to do. It's up to you to do it or not. I can't hold your hand the entire way, and some people think you should hold their hand the entire way and explain to them every single little thing. If I tell you what the requirements are, it's up to you to do it or not. If you want it, you're going to go get it. I'm driven. So when I got my brown belt, I looked up, I'm a USJF member. I looked up what I needed, and I competed to get those points. And I did it. And I did it for each cue to when I got my black belt. And one thing that happened to me when I got my black belt with me and some of my partners here when we were trying to get our black belts, USJF decided to change their requirements that year. So instead of just knowing half the kata, instead of just applying for our black belts under the competition rules, under the competition requirements, so they changed it. So we had to know the full kata, get certified in the kata, get our referee certificates, and get coaching certificates. Which coaching is not required, but our sensei said that we should
I
do
think
it.
everything's a money grab in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, we all got to get certifications.
Just
for the
adding
money.
more and more and more and more. I think it should just be kata, timing grade, points.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's how USA Judo is, and that's why a lot of us have gone to USA Judo, because the way USA Judo is that they have the requirements, but it's also up to your sensei if he feels that you've done this. If he feels that you're at this level, then if you demonstrate the kata, you don't have to get certified in it. But if your sensei certifies that you got the kata done, you know it, then you get your promotion.
See, that's another reason I don't want to get my black belt. It's because on principle I'm against belt promotion fees.
Yeah.
And getting a black belt, you have to pay the national government body like what, 225 or some like was it like $200? I think.
I can't remember off the top of my head how much it was.
And then the higher you go, the more it is, right?
Yeah.
So
each down ranking costs a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can take donations, like pay what you want. I think
Yeah.
that, or if you need that money, just put it in the membership fee.
Pyramid. That's why it's a pyramid and not a square. Because then everybody's like, hey, well, I'm on my 5th dan. Here's $5. Oh, man.
Well, that's going to go into the belt selling controversies. So
yeah. All right, so you ready to wrap this up now? We're talking about
Do you
belt
want to talk
rankings.
about technique? I think we're gonna.
Nah, I think we can talk about techniques later.
Okay, next time.
All right.
All right.
So, for Juan and Anthony, we're gonna sign off right now. Go home, do some Ichikomis. See you guys next time.
Bye.